My fiancé used me for money and status, then dumped me for a wealthy banker, so I vanished. And what I discovered about her destroyed everything she'd built. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. 3 years together, $50,000 in gifts, vacations, and supporting her career transition. A 2-carat engagement ring that cost 4 months' salary. All for a woman who saw me as nothing more than a financial stepping stone to her real target, a married investment banker worth millions. Jessica Chambers had it all figured out. Marketing executive with the perfect smile, designer wardrobe funded by my engineering salary, and a social media presence that screams successful power couple. She played the loving fiancé flawlessly while secretly meeting Ryan Mitchell, her wealthy affair partner. In 5-star hotels I unknowingly paid for through our joint credit card. The breakup was surgical. 2 weeks before our wedding, she sat me down in our shared apartment, the lease I'd been covering for 18 months, and delivered her rehearsed speech. Michael, I've realized we want different things. You're a wonderful man, but I need someone who matches my ambitions. Within hours, she was posting Instagram photos from the Ritz-Carlton with Ryan. Caption, finally with someone who understands my worth. I spent the first week devastated, calling her endlessly, begging her to explain what went wrong. She blocked my number after telling me she needed space to heal from our toxic relationship. Toxic. After 3 years of me funding her lifestyle while she cheated with a married millionaire, that's when something inside me snapped. Not heartbreak calculation. Jessica had spent 3 years studying me, manipulating me, extracting every dollar she could while building her exit strategy. Time for me to study her back. The investigation started small. Our joint credit card statements revealed a pattern I'd been too trusting to notice. Dinner reservations at restaurants I'd never been to, charged on nights she claimed to be working late, hotel room service from the Fairmont, the Westin, the Saintry, just always on afternoons she said she was at client meetings, spa treatments, designer shopping sprees, expensive jewelry purchases, all while she told me she was too focused on her career to think about luxuries. $57,000 in 18 months, I'd been funding her affair while planning our wedding. My first instinct was to tell our mutual friends the truth. Jessica had poisoned the well thoroughly, but I thought evidence would speak louder than her manipulation. Kyle Peterson, our mutual friend from college, agreed to meet me for drinks. I brought printed credit card statements, hotel receipts, even screenshots of her Venmo payments to Ryan Mitchell. Kyle listened for 10 minutes before cutting me off. Mike, this is really uncomfortable. Jessica already told us you were having trouble accepting the breakup. She showed us some of your texts, dude. You called her 43 times in one day. This obsession with investigating her finances is proving her point about the toxic behavior. The others were worse. Sarah Martinez, Jessica's bridesmaid, actually laughed when I mentioned the affair. Jessica would never cheat. She broke up with you because you were suffocating her with your neediness. Maybe instead of stalking her credit cards, you should focus on why you drove away such an amazing woman. Within a week, word spread through our social circle that I was the crazy ex-boyfriend who couldn't handle rejection. Jessica played the victim flawlessly, the successful woman who'd outgrown her controlling fiancé and needed restraining orders to feel safe. Every piece of evidence I gathered was reframed as proof of my obsessive stalking behavior. Desperate to make someone understand, I reached out to Jessica's professional contacts. Her boss at Sterling Marketing had always seemed reasonable during company parties. I sent him a carefully worded email about concerning financial irregularities that might affect the company's reputation if Jessica's affair with a married client became public. The response came from legal within 2 hours. Jessica had already filed a complaint against me for harassment and defamation. Her boss, David Jen, called me directly. Mr. Thompson, Jessica is one of our top performers and a valued member of our team. She's shared with us the difficulties she's experiencing with your inability to accept your relationship's end. Any further contact with our employees will result in a cease and desist order. Jessica had been 2 steps ahead. She'd already positioned herself as the victim of a bitter ex-fiancé's revenge campaign. Her colleagues saw her as the professional woman being stalked by a man who couldn't handle her success. My evidence looked like the desperate attempts of someone trying to destroy his ex-girlfriend's career. The humiliation was complete when Jessica's mentor, Linda Foster, sent me a LinkedIn message. Michael, I understand you're hurting, but this behavior is beneath you. Jessica speaks highly of your relationship. Even now, honor what you had by letting her move forward peacefully. The public failures taught me something crucial. Jessica controlled the narrative because she controlled the audience. But she couldn't control everything, and she's made one critical mistake. She underestimated how methodical an engineer could be when properly motivated. I started over, this time focusing on evidence she couldn't explain away. My brother Alex, a construction worker with surprisingly good insights into human nature, became my only ally. She's been planning this for months, Mike. People don't just accidentally have affairs with millionaires. There's a trail somewhere. The real investigation began with her laptop, technically still mine since I'd bought it as an early engagement gift. Jessica had returned it with her other belongings, claiming she's factory reset everything for privacy, but engineers understand data recovery. 47 deleted photos of her with Ryan Mitchell, dating back 14 months, screenshots of text conversations about their future together while she was still accepting my grandmother's ring. Her email was more revealing. A folder labeled M Transition contained detailed spreadsheets tracking my income, savings, and spending patterns. She'd calculated exactly how much she could extract before the wedding without making me suspicious. Another folder, Our Timeline, showed her systematic plan for transitioning from me to Ryan, including backup plans if he wouldn't leave his wife. Most damaging was her correspondence with her therapist, Dr. Rebecca Goldstein, who she'd been seeing for relationship anxiety I'd been paying for. The emails revealed Jessica's sessions weren't about fixing our relationship, but about managing her guilt over the affair, while maximizing her financial extraction before the breakup. Armed with real evidence, I began systematic surveillance, not stalking research. Jessica's Instagram stories became a goldmine of intelligence. Every restaurant photo gave me location data, every shopping haul revealed spending patterns, every workout selfie showed her daily routine. I discovered Ryan Mitchell's pattern too. He met Jessica every Tuesday at the Fairmonts bar, every Thursday for lunch at Morrison's Steakhouse, and every Sunday morning at a yoga class in Bellevue. His wife thought he was at the gym. The surveillance paid off when I witnessed their argument outside the Fairmont. Jessica screaming at Ryan about timeline pressures, Ryan explaining he couldn't leave his wife until after his daughter's graduation. I recorded it all from across the street, clear audio of Jessica threatening to tell his wife everything if he didn't propose by Christmas. This wasn't love, this was two manipulators using each other, with Jessica as desperate to secure Ryan as she'd been to extract maximum value from me. Confident in my evidence, I scheduled a meeting with our core friend group. This time I came prepared with a professional presentation, timeline charts, financial records, recorded conversations, email screenshots, everything organized like the engineering project proposals I'd perfected over 6 years in my career. Kyle Peterson brought Sarah Martinez and 2 other mutual friends. I spent 45 minutes laying out the case, showing them Jessica's systematic fraud, her manipulation tactics, her calculated affair timeline. The evidence was overwhelming, undeniable. Sarah's response destroyed me. Mike, this is terrifying. You've been stalking Jessica for months, recording her private conversations, hacking her emails, following her around the city. This isn't proving she was wrong to leave you, it's proving she was right to run. Kyle nodded gravely. Dude, I'm genuinely worried about you. This level of obsession isn't healthy. Jessica's moved on with her life, and you need to do the same. Have you considered therapy? They left after threatening to call police if I continued harassing Jessica. Everything I'd presented as evidence of her manipulation, they'd interpreted as proof of my instability. Jessica's narrative was so deeply embedded that facts couldn't penetrate it. Desperate and running out of options, I took my evidence to a lawyer. Shirlevan, a family law attorney my cousin recommended, agreed to review my case. After 2 hours examining my documentation, he delivered his verdict. Michael, you have compelling evidence of fraud and breach of contract. Jessica clearly misrepresented her intentions and misused funds you provided. However, there's a significant problem with how you obtained this evidence. The email recovery from her laptop, the surveillance recordings, the financial tracking. Jessica can argue this constitutes stalking and harassment. He explained the legal reality. Even though Jessica had committed fraud, my investigation methods looked criminal to a judge. She could flip my evidence gathering into a restraining order request, painting me as the dangerous ex-boyfriend who wouldn't accept rejection. My advice, walk away. Your documentation proves she wronged you, but pursuing this legally will destroy your reputation and possibly result in criminal charges against you. Sometimes the cost of justice is higher than the cost of letting go another failure. Even with overwhelming evidence, Jessica's positioning as the victim was legally bulletproof. 4 failures taught me the crucial lesson I'd been playing by honest people's rules, while Jessica played by manipulators' rules. She won every battle because she understood the game better than I did. But Jessica made one fatal mistake. She assumed I'd stay in Seattle, wallowing in humiliation while she enjoyed her victory. Instead, I accepted my college friend Trevor Collins' job offer in Denver, better salary, better opportunities, and 2,000 miles from Jessica's narrative control. I moved quietly. No announcements, no goodbyes, no forwarding address, just packed my apartment, transferred to my company's Denver office, and vanished from Jessica's world entirely. The brilliance wasn't in exposing her, it was in removing her audience. Within 3 weeks, Jessica's carefully constructed image began crumbling. Without me in Seattle to serve as the obsessive ex-boyfriend villain, her victim narrative lost coherence. People started asking uncomfortable questions about why her ex-fiancé had disappeared so completely, if he was really a stalker. Kyle Peterson called me in Denver, confused. Mike, Jessica's been asking everyone if we've heard from you. She seems genuinely worried. That's weird for someone who is afraid of your obsession, right? The real crack came when Ryan Mitchell's wife discovered the affair. Not through my evidence, I'd never contacted her, but through Ryan's guilty conscience and sloppy behavior. When she filed for divorce, Jessica's name appeared in the legal paperwork as the other woman. Suddenly, Jessica wasn't the successful marketing executive who'd outgrown her controlling fiancé. She was the homewrecker who'd destroyed a 20-year marriage and abandoned her loyal boyfriend for a cheating millionaire. The narrative flipped completely. Sarah Martinez called me, apologetic and confused. Mike, I don't understand what happened. Jessica seemed so put together, so successful, but now she's posting these desperate Instagram stories about fake friends and people not understanding her side. It's like watching a different person. From Denver, I watched Jessica's world unravel through social media and mutual friends updates. Ryan Mitchell, facing a $50 million divorce settlement, couldn't afford to maintain Jessica's lifestyle. She'd left a steady relationship with someone who genuinely loved her for an affair partner who saw her as a temporary diversion. The final piece came when Dr. Rebecca Goldstein, Jessica's therapist, contacted me directly. Professional ethics prevented her from discussing Jessica's sessions, but she could address my own mental health concerns. Mr. Thompson, I want you to know that leaving Seattle was probably the healthiest decision you could have made. Sometimes the best response to manipulation is removal of yourself from the manipulator's environment. She couldn't say it directly, but the message was clear. Even Jessica's therapist recognized the manipulation. Kyle Peterson provided the last update. Mike, I owe you an apology. Jessica asked me to help her get your new address because she needs to apologize for how things ended. But when I said I don't have it, she lost it completely, started screaming about how you'd ruined her life by disappearing, how she couldn't move forward without closure from you. That's not how victims of stalking talk about their stalkers. Jessica's collapse taught me something profound about justice. I'd spent months trying to expose her manipulation to our community, but the most devastating thing I could do was simply disappear. Without me as a reference point for her victim narrative, without my income supporting her lifestyle, without my devotion feeding her ego, Jessica was forced to face the reality of who she actually was. Ryan Mitchell left her after his wife took half his assets in the divorce. Jessica's marketing career stalled when her affair became office gossip. Her social media presence shifted from successful power couple to struggling single woman seeking sympathy for her toxic ex, who won't give her closure. The friends who believed her manipulation began seeing the pattern. When Jessica started dating again, targeting wealthy men with the same systematic approach she'd used on me, people recognized the behavior. Her reputation shifted from victim of a controlling ex to woman who uses men for money. Denver gave me something Seattle never could: a fresh start. My new colleagues knew nothing about Jessica or my obsessive behavior. They saw me as a talented engineer with good insights and professional dedication. I built genuine friendships based on mutual respect, rather than shared history with a manipulator. The promotion came within 8 months. My supervisor, impressed with my project management skills and technical expertise, recommended me for the senior engineering position. $60,000 salary increase, leadership responsibilities, and recognition for abilities Jessica had always minimized. I started dating again slowly, carefully, with clear boundaries. Sarah Kim, a software developer I met through Denver's professional networking groups, appreciated my honesty about my previous relationship. "You learned something important," she said after I explained why I was cautious about joint finances. Some people never figure out the difference between love and transaction. The ultimate validation came 18 months later when Jessica's college roommate, Amy Chen, contacted me through LinkedIn. "Michael, I hope this isn't inappropriate, but I wanted you to know that Jessica has been trying to get back in touch with you. She's been telling people that you were the one who got away, and that she made a mistake choosing Ryan over you." Amy continued, "What she doesn't know is that I've been watching her pattern for years. You weren't her first victim. There were 2 guys before you in college. She always finds successful, generous men, takes everything she can, then moves to someone wealthier. I stayed quiet before, because I thought maybe she'd changed, but seeing her try to manipulate Ryan, then come crawling back to you when it failed, I had to warn you." The final piece of the puzzle: Jessica hadn't specifically targeted me. I was just next in her sequence of financial victims. Her breakdown after I disappeared wasn't guilt over hurting someone she loved. It was panic over losing her most reliable source of support. Sometimes the most powerful response to manipulation isn't confrontation, it's absence. Every minute I spent trying to expose Jessica to our community was a minute she retained control over my narrative. The moment I removed myself from her environment, her power evaporated. Jessica spent 3 years calculating how to extract maximum value from our relationship. She studied my income, my savings, my emotional vulnerabilities. She manipulated our mutual friends, controlled our social narrative, and positioned herself as the victim of my devotion. But she never calculated what would happen if I simply vanished from her world entirely. Today, I'm engaged to Sarah Kim. She's seen the evidence of Jessica's manipulation, not because I needed to prove my innocence, but because transparency builds trust. Sarah understands why I maintain clear financial boundaries. I pay attention to social manipulation tactics, why I value actions over words. Our relationship is built on mutual respect, shared goals, and genuine affection. No one is using anyone, no one is extracting value while planning an exit strategy, no one is performing love while conducting an affair. Jessica, according to Kyle Peterson's latest update, is still in Seattle, still cycling through relationships with wealthy men, still posting Instagram stories about toxic exes who won't give her closure. Her pattern continues, but now people recognize it. The $57,000 she extracted from me was expensive tuition for life's most valuable lesson. Some people view relationships as transactions, and the only way to win those games is to refuse to play them. I didn't destroy Jessica's life. I simply removed myself as her supporting character. And without that foundation, the performance collapsed on its own. Sarah and I bought a house in Denver under both our names, with both our incomes, as genuine partners building something together. The down payment came from my savings, rebuilt over 2 years of focusing on my career, instead of funding someone else's deception. Jessica's latest attempt to contact me came through my brother Alex. She'd somehow gotten his information and sent him a long email about how she'd learned so much about herself and wanted to apologize for the misunderstandings between us. Alex forwarded it with his response: "Jessica, Michael built a great life in Denver. He doesn't need closure from someone who treated him like an am. Lose his family's contact information." The most satisfying part: I barely thought about her anymore. The woman who'd consumed 18 months of my life with her manipulation had become irrelevant to my happiness. That's the real victory, not revenge, but indifference. The house, the career, the genuine relationship, the peace of mind, all things Jessica could never have given me, because she viewed relationships as competitions to win rather than partnerships to build. Sometimes the best response to someone who treats you like an option is to remove yourself from their menu entirely. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.